I guess I'm struggling to figure out how I can address my husband's drinking problem in a way that I guess will stick with him. Um, we've had several instances over the past, I want to say 4 years, to where his drinking becomes more and more excessive, and it'll peak in an instance where he will speak to me disrespectfully because he's had too much to drink. And then I have a habit of stonewalling him for a couple of days. And then once I feel like I'm able to talk to him, we'll sit down and talk. He'll admit he has a problem and he needs help. And the best that I've gotten from him is he'll try to drink less. um, this last time that happened was the night before Thanksgiving. He called me for lack of a better description, the C word out of frustration with me. And I stonewalled him for about 3 days. And when we finally sat down, again, he admitted he had a problem. He needed help. He asked me what I needed from him, and I told him I need a sober home, 100% sober. I don't care what people think or say about it, but in my home, I don't want any more alcohol. He was very hesitant, and he said that he didn't want to impose our issues on anyone. And I knew at that point, like, just trying to go back and forth with him to get him to do things my way wasn't going to work. And we agreed on he was going to get sober. That was maybe about a week ago at this point. And a couple other things happened that were upsetting to me, but I kind of just had to put it to the side because I didn't want to seem like the one that's being overly critical with him.
What were those things? What were those things?
Oh, God. So we had that discussion, I want to say Sunday after Thanksgiving. We were having friends over. A couple nights later on Thursday, he calls me while he's out in town and asked me if I wanted a bottle of wine for dinner. And I just had to stop, and it took everything in me to not explode on him over the phone because we just had this whole sobriety talk a couple days ago. So I said, no, I don't want any wine. I'm fine. And he said, okay. And he shows up to the house with a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer. And once again, it took everything inside me to not explode on him. And the only justification I gave myself was, well, at least he's trying. It's non-alcoholic beer. Because I didn't want to ruin the night. I knew that if I said something, it would just turn into this whole thing. We went through the night. He had 2 non-alcoholic beers, and he put a sleeve on it because he didn't want our friends to see that it was non-alcoholic beer because they do drink. I mean, everyone we know drinks. It went fine. I came to work. We're both shift workers, so we'll work for 48 hours at a time, and sometimes we'll have alternating days off to where he's alone on a day that I'm working, or I'm home on a day that he's working. And Saturday comes along. I get off Sunday morning, and then I realized a couple of things have happened while I was gone on that Saturday that he is neglecting to come forth to me about. And at this point, and it does involve alcohol, and I don't know how to approach him, and I've once again been stonewalling him for about 3 days now.
All right, so let's start here. No more stonewalling.
Yeah.
That's a cheap way to regain what you feel like is power in your house, but it's not.
Absolutely. So, I feel like I've tried every other way, and
yeah, it doesn't work. And in a weird way, you bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Stonewalling is like that old AA saying, like, you're drinking poison hoping he dies.
Yeah.
Right? You feel terrible. You feel annoyed. You feel like you can't go in your own bathroom or your own bedroom or your own kitchen. And he just is annoyed that you're acting that way again. So let's make a commitment now to not stonewall. Okay?
Yeah.
And that means you remaining empowered in your own socks and shoes. It's my house. When you say, I want a sober house, or I want sober this, or I think we're past that because everybody can interpret that in its own way.
Yeah.
I think you need some very clear boundaries for your home and for your marriage. And whenever we hold clear boundaries, and I'll walk you through some of them, but whenever we hold clear boundaries, we have to know that other people don't have to hold our boundaries. He may leave. And that's a scary, scary proposition. But you are quickly becoming somebody that you don't recognize or respect.
Yeah.
Because your house is increasingly less and less safe. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. My guess is your husband does not have the capacity to stop drinking on his own. He needs to go see a professional or go to a treatment program.
I've tried to get him, or not get him. I've tried to tell him that the methods that I've been trying are all these talks when it comes to like a
And
breaking point.
That's what I mean about
Hasn't
boundaries.
worked.
That's what I mean about boundaries. And here's how you cast that in choices he can make. You and I are talking right now on a Wednesday morning. A conversation has something like tonight after dinner. Let him know we have a hard conversation we have to have tonight. And if you want to, you can say, I know about Saturday. I know about all the stuff that happened on Saturday, and we're not going to debate it or discuss it. From this point forward, you have a choice. You can choose me, you can choose this home, or you can choose alcohol. What that means is by Friday, you will be at an inpatient or an outpatient treatment program, or you are choosing to no longer live in this house. And in that way, you're not kicking him out. He's a grown man. He gets to make a choice. And if you're doing shift work and you're any kind of first responder shift work, 48 hours on, 40 hours off, that kind of thing, then there's a ton of employee assistance programs available.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of ego.
I feel like that's the only avenue that I haven't tried because
You're scared of what he's going to do.
Well.
I know.
Yeah.
But you've been trying to control his responses for X number of years. You have to at some point say, this isn't working. I can't do it. It's just getting worse.
I'm tired.
Yeah. And by the way, he doesn't like who he's becoming either. I don't know any man that wants to get to a place where they're having to hide from the life they live in so much, so often that they end up just belittling their wife. I don't know any man that wants to be in that situation. It just feels powerless to get out. And this is one of those iron sharpens iron moments. You can choose to live with me and be my husband, which I hope so much you will. You will be in a program by Friday.
Yeah.
Or you will choose to move out of this house and leave. Period. Because let me say this as boldly as I can. You've lost the marriage that you had. It's over. When a man calls his wife the C word after bender number 25, that marriage, there's a period at the end of that marriage. It's over. Y'all can build something new, something extraordinary. And in y'all's case, a life that is stone sober. And anyone who goes through any sort of sobriety will tell you they've got to change friendship circles and they got to cut people out of their life or give people the opportunity to fade out. And that's scary and scary and scary on top of scary.
Yeah.
But right now he's choosing these barbecue buddies over his wife.
Yeah.
And you deserve more than that. He does too.
I know. With best thing after this conversation with him be for me to go sober as well? I mean, I think I acknowledge that I don't have the issue with alcohol or the relationship with alcohol that he does. I'm willing to be 100% sober for the rest of my life. I don't have to think twice about that.
I think right now, lest you make grand proclamations, he needs to know that you'll walk alongside him.
Yeah.
Right? My wife is a serial killer in that she can buy a bag of Reese's Pieces and eat 4 of them and then put them in a drawer and go on about her day. I don't know how that's humanly possible, because once the bag is open, I will eat the entire bag and then I'll go figure out a way to find some more. And when I say, hey, I'm out of control with how I'm eating, I'm not being a good steward of my body. And it's not just aesthetic. It makes me not sleep well. It makes me not a good dad. It makes me a grumpy husband. I need to cut it out. She says, awesome, sweet. And it disappears from our house everywhere. But also, I'm not going to begrudge her a piece of pie with her friends, she can eat whatever she wants to, right? But it's her honoring me as my ride or die in this particular season I'm in. So I think you making the big, I agree to go sober for the rest of my life, that's a lot. I don't think that's necessary right now. I think right now you can say, I'm done drinking. That's for me in this house. And I hope with all of my guts that you choose me and you choose this home and you choose this family. Because you've been trying to make his choices for him for a long time and then it doesn't work. He has to choose.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you've made a bunch of Swiss cheese boundaries that have holes in them and you haven't really held them, he'll probably test them, see if you're serious. You might get wasted on Saturday when you're at work. Do y'all have kids?
Yes, he has 2 from a previous marriage.
Okay.
They were with us part-time, every other weekend.
Okay. So maybe you have to make a hard decision about whether you're going to move or not, because he might try to call your bluff. But I think I don't see another path forward than some hard directive action.
Yeah, I've thought about all the scenarios, and I guess the one thing that kept me from giving him that ultimatum is the fear that he won't follow through with the getting treatment, and then I would have to either him move out or remove myself from the home because I don't want it to affect the children.
And what I would tell you is it's already affecting the children.
I know.
You already don't feel safe in your house, emotionally and verbally. And if you know this more than me, but if you go back and look at trends and escalation, you might see this thing creeping further and further towards your house getting less and less safe physically even. And so it will come to a head. My goal, it's kind of like the national debt, right? There will come a day.
Yeah.
My dream is we all decide now that we're going to have 10 years, 15 years of tough seasons to get this thing under control. Or we can just keep driving along. And one day this thing crashes. Similar, this crashes in your house at some point.
That's what I want to avoid. I don't want to spend 15 years. I know a lot of people in his family and his friends, and a lot of callers that I've heard on your show where they've been going through this for 10, 15, 20 years. I'm trying to not spend the rest of my life trying to get over this hurdle.
That's right.
And nip it in the butt now before it does end up in divorce. It just frustrates me.
It is. Not by your hand, but in your lap. You didn't ask for this, and here it is. I'll walk with you any way that I can, and call me anytime you want. And if he wants to call me, I'd love to talk to him too. And if he's first responders, I especially know those guys. Tell him to give me a call. And I think the big lesson here is the thing you're trying to hold together to keep duct tape and baling wire and string, like keep it held together, it's already in pieces. So the control you think you have over it's an illusion. And in fact, the pieces are beginning to scatter in the wind. The question is, will you let those pieces scatter? And will you say, here's the foundation I'm building a new house on. I hope you'll co-build it with me. But you got to go get help because this can't be a part of our life. And that's going to be a scary, scary thing. And there will be starts and stops. And you're going to have to look at the steps he takes. And you're going to have to look at his commitment. And you're going to have to look at his remorse and his willingness to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to try again, I'm going to try again, I'm going to try again. Because sobriety is a roller coaster. It's not just a straight line all the time. But you deserve to have a house that's safe. And he deserves to feel at peace in his own skin. And both of y'all have proven we can't do this on our own. So professional help is the next right move. I'll be thinking about you, Amy. Let me know how the conversation goes. And hopefully he chooses 2025 as to be the year that he is finally free.